Imagine you're a farmer somewhere in Africa. Early morning light creeps across your field, birds are singing, and the smell of damp earth is rising. You've just planted seeds that have been handed down through generations. Seeds perfectly adapted to your land, your climate, and your seasons. They hold the memories of your ancestors, the stories of their resilience. Then one morning, someone offers you new seeds, seeds from the US, promising higher yields and a brighter future. But this offer comes with complicated questions. That's what's happening across the continent right now. US seeds are arriving, and many African governments and farmers are pausing, pushing back and saying, not yet. It's not that these seeds are inherently bad. The story begins with real challenges. Africa's food security, climate change, persistent droughts, and a desperate need for innovation. Many nations are working tirelessly to increase productivity, feed growing populations, and reduce hunger. Some biotech proponents in the West look at Africa and see a golden opportunity: new seed technologies, genetically modified varieties, fresh capital, and modern agriculture. But in the quiet fields of Africa, something else is stirring: caution, concern, and a powerful resistance. Just think about that for a moment. A nation facing hunger, turning away food simply because of the kind of seeds it contains. That sense of heritage, of sovereignty over their own agriculture, is incredibly powerful. Let's break down the core tensions. First, there's seed sovereignty. Many African farmers work small plots of land, saving seeds from their harvest year after year, sharing them with neighbors and relatives. That tradition is everything. When foreign corporate seeds arrive, they often come with strict rules. No seed saving, you must repurchase them each season, and they often require specific chemicals or conditions. This immediately raises alarm bells. Will farmers lose control of their own seed systems? Second is the issue of biodiversity and the environment. Africa has an astonishingly rich agricultural biodiversity. We're talking about native cereals like millet, sorghum, and TF, along with countless local varieties perfectly adapted to heat, drought, and erratic rainfall. They might not be flashy, but they are incredibly resilient. Introducing industrial or imported seed systems can erode that diversity, increase the risk of genetic contamination, and ultimately reduce the land's natural resilience. Third, we have to consider trade and export markets. If a country accepts seeds or grows crops that don't meet certain international standards, it risks losing access to valuable export markets. Some nations fear that if their corn or other crops get contaminated by genetically modified pollen, their exports could be blocked entirely. Fourth is the mixed blessing of modern technology. Yes, some of these seeds are high-yield hybrids or GM variants promising pest resistance or drought tolerance. But they often require a whole package of expensive inputs: specific fertilizers, irrigation systems, pesticides, and stable supply chains. The reality is, many African farmers simply don't have reliable access to those things. Critics argue the problem isn't just the seeds themselves, it's the entire ecosystem of support they demand, which often doesn't exist. Let's step into a real human moment. Picture a widow farmer in Malawi, looking at a bag of imported seeds. She's used to saving part of her harvest to plant again next year. Now she's being told these new seeds are patented and she can't replant them. She starts to wonder, will I have to pay more next season? Will I lose my independence? Will my children still have a choice? Suddenly, the seeds are no longer just about growing a plant. They become about contracts, dependence, and the entire future of her farm. In many African capitals, governments are quietly rewriting their laws on seed regulation. New seed acts are requiring certification, banning the informal seed trade, and even penalizing farmers for sharing seeds outside of these new formal systems. Why is this happening? Because multinational seed companies are pushing for formal, regulated markets. But the consequence is that the informal networks, the ones that have been trusted for generations, are being eroded. And then there's the emotional layer: pride, sovereignty, identity. For many farmers in Africa, agriculture isn't just a business, it's their heritage, their legacy. When one agricultural expert said, "We cannot actually communicate with our ancestors by using GMO seeds because the seeds don't know the land," you can feel the deep sentiment behind that statement. So when US seeds are offered, or even pushed, you hear many voices saying, "We're not just going to take them." They are asking critical questions. Who really benefits from this? Who gets to decide what we grow? Will our soils become dependent on foreign chemicals? Will our biodiversity be lost forever? This isn't anti-progress. It's pro-choice and pro-agency. Now, let's consider the US perspective for a moment. The US seed industry is incredibly advanced, and the biotech sector is massive. There's immense pressure to find new markets, to open up trade, and to spread agricultural technology across the globe. But some African nations feel that these offers come with strings attached, intellectual property terms, control of their seed systems, and a long-term dependence on external inputs. They feel like the very soils of Africa are becoming contested terrain. Who controls the seeds, controls the food. And who controls the food, controls the future. Some critics have even called this a new form of seed colonialism. But it's more than just geopolitics. It's about water. Will these new seeds perform well in African soils with their erratic rainfall? It's about culture. Will they respect local farming traditions that have been perfected over centuries? It's about fairness. Will farmers still own their seeds and their harvests? And it's about the environment. Will monocultures and heavy chemical use degrade soils that have nourished generations? What we are witnessing is a moment of awakening. Africa is fighting back, not out of fear, but out of a deep love for its land and its heritage. When seeds arrive with grand promises but heavy conditions, people are standing up and saying, "No, we'll protect our soils first." Because their soil is not just the ground beneath their feet, it's memory, it's hope. It's the story of where they come from and where their children will go. Let's not oversimplify this as Africa rejects progress. It's far more nuanced. Some countries have cautiously adopted GM or hybrid seeds, but many are demanding strong safety regulations, strong farmers' rights, and strong local control. They're saying, let's get this partnership right. Let's make sure the seeds match our soils, our climates, and our people. Let's make sure we're not trading our independence for a quick fix. So the next time you hear headlines about US seeds being rejected from Africa, remember that you're only hearing a small part of a much deeper story. A story where farmers hold the power, where the soil truly matters, and where sovereignty is real. And if you listen closely, in those early morning fields, you can almost hear the seeds whispering, "We'll grow, but on our own terms." If this story opened your eyes to what's really happening beneath Africa's soil, please take a moment to stay connected. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters in shaping these conversations. Subscribe to our channel and join a growing community that values truth, awareness, and the real stories the world needs to hear. Your support helps bring more untold stories like this to light. Thank you for watching.